The Action 5 Pro isn't just an action camera, it's a vlogging camera, or an anything you want it to be camera. But James, how the hell do I set it all up for vlogging or just general shooting, I hear you ask? Well, just whack it in auto mode, go out, press record and shoot. And that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, please subscribe, comment down below, see you next time. Only joking, well, kind of and kind of not. Kind of not? I don't think I've ever said kind of not. Kind of not. I'm kind of not. Maybe I have. I'm kind of... No. Have I? I'm kind of not. It sounds weird. Anyway, I'm kind of not. And of course, everything I go through is what works for me. It's not set in stone. You might want to adjust some things here and there. But I always advise going out first and doing some tests yourself before you actually go out and press record seriously. Before you go out and press record seriously. I don't think I've ever said that one either. Before you go out and press record seriously. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. Do you?
Mad as savage, me back and I'm back and it happening, ready to blow. I remember doing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the guards' horses. I didn't realise how fast they actually walk. I'm trying to catch up and I can't catch up. Either I'm too slow or they're too fast. They have got 4 legs, so they do have an advantage. I think I'm slightly catching up because I want you to get the best view possible. Slightly caught up. I've always wondered when I see the horses going past and, you know, doing their business on the floor, how and who cleans it up? Well, I've got my answer. This is the poo machine. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the poo machine. Unbelievable. One thing I would say is a must when vlogging with any action camera, obviously we're talking about the Action 5 Pro today, is a selfie stick pole, selfie stick tripod attachment, whatever you want to call it, whatever it is. You get more control when it's attached to something like this, you know, because you're going to be holding it out in front of you like that. Whereas when you're holding it like that, it's just a little bit da-da-da. And also sometimes when I was testing out the camera when I first got it and it wasn't attached to anything and I was holding it like this, a bit of my finger went over the lens, which I didn't realise because obviously it's such a wild field. It's a wide field of view. Yeah, you might risk that. So having it attached to something like this, and it could be a selfie stick tripod like what I have the Pocket 3 attached to right now, yeah, it's just going to help you out when you're vlogging and for you to be able to put it in front of you like that and show your beautiful face. Oh no, you can't hear Big Ben's. Big Ben's one's over there. That one is a different clock. Anyway, it's time for the back settings. And what I mean by the back settings is just simply the settings. So if you swipe down from the top, you've got your settings menu, and then if you go into the settings button, you've got more settings, just loads and loads of settings. So there's a few things that I change. First of all, the screen brightness. On most, if not all of these type of cameras, I set the screen brightness to 60%. I find it's a good balance between being able to see everything on the screen and it not using tons and tons of battery life, let's say if it was at 100%. Now, there are times where I increase the brightness or decrease it based obviously on how bright the environment is, and that would be the same with you. So it's not set in stone, but I would say most of the time, every time I go out to shoot, it's always set to 60 and I'll adjust it accordingly. Under that, you've got orientation lock. I have that turned on. I don't like orientation lock on. I don't like orientation lock off, should I say, on any device, including my iPhone, because when you slightly twist it and then everything moves and the icons twist, I'm like, it makes me annoyed. Even on the iPhone, like I said, when I'm in bed and I slightly turn and everything moves, nah, I don't like that stuff. I have the orientation lock on, so nothing moves. If I want everything to move, I'll just turn the lock off. All the way at the end, you've got full front screen. And essentially what that is referring to is the front screen there. Do you want the preview to fill up the whole screen, or do you want it to be exactly what you're seeing on the back screen? So if you have it turned on, the whole of the front preview screen is going to be filled with the preview image, which is not everything that's in shot. So you wouldn't be able to see some of the side bits because it's obviously punched in because it can't fit everything on the screen. But if you have full front screen off, that is showing you exactly what you are seeing on the main screen at the back, and you can see absolutely everything that would be in shot. For me, I actually have this turned on, so I have the full screen, so I actually don't see everything that's in shot. I just find that, I don't know, I just find that I prefer it like this. I've tested it with it on and done some things with, you know, it being off and on, and I just literally prefer it to be on, so I have the full screen. But if you want the wide screen so you can see everything that's in shot as if what you would see at the back, then obviously you would need to turn full front screen off, because it would then give you the black bars at the top and bottom and show you everything that's in shot. On the main settings screen, if you swipe to the left, you'll be taken to your storage options, and this is obviously the point where you need to decide whether you're going to be shooting direct to the camera internally or you're going to be shooting recording to an SD card. One of the great features about the Action 5 Pro is, yeah, it can record internally, but if you do want to switch between the both, then obviously swipe to the left, so you're taken to the storage screen, and then you're easily able to switch between internal or SD card. At the moment I'm on SD card, but it is really handy to know that I don't have to have an SD card in there. But yeah, this is where you would change it. And then if we swipe back and go to the previous settings and then go to the top right button, which is the settings, you've got various different options here. The first one is snapshot. I always have that set to last settings, and what that means is when the Action 5 Pro is off and you press record, it will instantly start recording based on the last settings, so you never miss an amazing moment when you're out vlogging. And usually whatever I've got it previously set to is what I would want it to shoot at when I turn it back on. So last settings is what I have snapshot set to. And then under that you've got single screen preview. I have that turned off. Essentially what that means is when it's turned on, you can only view the preview out of one of the screens, and then the other screen is locked and you have to swipe up on it. Now I just find it annoying because of the way that I would usually vlog, where sometimes I'd be facing the camera like that and then twisting it to me. I want both screens on, so I don't have to do any of this swiping up to unlock it, and then I twist it back around, I've got to swipe it up. Again, it might work for you doing it like that because it probably would save a little bit of battery, not having both screens on all the time when you don't need it. But for me, doing the type of movements I do when I'm vlogging, having it turned off was easier because I could just go like that and then go like that and see in front and see me. If you are using an external mic, then wireless mic gives you loads of options like turning 32-bit float recording if you're shooting with the DJI Mic 2, etc. But if you're not, then you don't need to go into that and mess around with any settings. Right now I haven't got a external mic connected, and like I said, if I was vlogging with the Action 5 Pro, I probably wouldn't connect an external mic unless I was doing like a walking away from the camera and I was over there type shot and I was doing like a dance. Well, I probably wouldn't be doing a dance, but just showing you all the bits and pieces. Under that you've got depth and altitude. Another amazing feature to have if you want it, but for me it annoyed me more than anything. Well, it didn't annoy me, it distracted me. I didn't realize it was on, and when I was shooting the very first day with it, I was in Florida and I was right at the top of the car park, so I was quite high, and then the measurement came up, and I was like, oh, what's that? It's the first time I've seen it on there, because obviously I was so high. And then it kind of stayed on there and kept changing, obviously, as I changed my as I changed my altitude. As I changed my altitude, it kept changing. But you know what? It was distracting me. It was this number that just kept changing that I didn't need. I didn't need that information. It was cool to know I don't know how high I was. I'm not good with measurements. Was I 2,000 meters in the air? Is that too high? Am I being exaggerative? Is that a word? Am I exaggerating? I don't know. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is if you don't want the information displayed on the screen, go in to hiking and parachuting, and you'll see that there is an option to turn altitude display on or off. If you want it on, keep it on. If you don't, because it's going to annoy you or distract you, turn it off. Always on display I have turned on, and screen off when recording I have set to the max, which is 10 minutes. And then under that you've got built-in mic audio backup, which again is a great feature to have, especially if you're recording to an external mic, because essentially what this does is it creates a backup audio file using the camera's microphones. So let's say you were recording to an external mic and there was connection issues and you had built-in mic audio backup turned on, you will have a WAV audio file to recover the audio that was lost through the external mic. So when you plug your SD card or the camera into the computer, you've got a separate file. You can have this on and you don't need to be connected to an external mic as well for it to record a backup, because it would still record a backup WAV file if that's what you want, but the option's there to turn it on or off. But definitely more so if you're connected to an external mic, this is going to be helpful to have on. And now you know, I like to make an entrance. I thought that would be. I was good. I tell you what, I was going to do. I was going to do this. And now, which one was better? Or should I just stand it like this? And now it's time for the big question: auto mode or pro mode, as we get into the main shooting settings. But before we do get into the main shooting settings, we're going to take a little walk with Mr. Action 5 Pro. And what we're going to do is, the first part is going to be in auto mode, and at some point throughout the walk I'm going to switch it over to pro mode, and you're going to see whether you can see the difference or whether it looks exactly the same. So without further ado, let's switch over to Mr. Action 5 Pro. Ta-da! There we are. Look at this, 2 cameras on me. I could get used to this. So, like I said, it's in auto mode right now. At some point throughout this walk, I'm going to switch it to pro mode. I'm not going to tell you when, because we're going to play a little game and see whether you can guess what that point was. And where are we going to walk? Well, you'll see. Let's go. This just scared everyone. These cars have just driven up to the bollards, and they've just moved. Do you know what I want to do? I want to stand on one. Oh look! I was going to stand on one and be elevated. So James, where are you walking to? Well, I'll tell you where. Somewhere warm. Well, it's actually not too bad now. I'm in the sun, but only if I'm like walking like this, because if I don't, the sun's like behind me. And first of all, obviously that doesn't look good if the sun's behind, but also I want the sun on my face. I can't walk like that. We're going to get my first pumpkin spice drink of the year, because it's spicy season and I'm a little bit cold, and I thought, you know what? It's time for a pumpkin spice latte. You know what? London really is looking spectacular today. Look at these blue skies. It was not like this yesterday. And I've not long come back from Florida, where it was so hot. And the day I landed, it was so cold. I just recovered from being ill because my body was like, what the hell is this? Now, unlike in Florida, there's not a Starbucks every single place you look. I mean, there's loads, don't get me wrong, there is loads of Starbucks, but I did find that there was more Starbucks in Florida. Like over here, you've got Tesco's Express everywhere you look. Which, if you don't know what Tesco Express is because you're from like America, it's like a mini supermarket. Everywhere you go, on every corner there's a Tesco Express. That's how I found Starbucks to be over in Florida. Anytime you wanted a Starbucks, just, oh, there's one, oh, there's one. Over here, you do have to walk a little bit, not too far, but a little bit. I think I was a little bit dramatic. I've only walked literally a little bit around the corner and we're basically nearly there. In fact, here we are. A pumpkin spice latte, please. Bingo! Oh, it's so warm. So warm. Oh, so warm. I just walk along like this. So warm. So warm. I don't know how people were ordering iced coffees. There's a lady in front who picked up an iced coffee. Right, the time has come for me to have the first sip of my first pumpkin spice latte of the year. It's not sweet enough. I think I need to go back and put some sweetness in it. I usually have sweetness in my bag, but I don't have them today in my bag. Here we go again. The second sip or third sip or fourth sip. I can't remember how many sips I did back then. But anyway, the main first sip of the sweetened pumpkin spice latte. Beautiful. I am going to put it out there and say I think I might have stepped in dog poo. You know them ones where you need to walk a little bit and see if you can still smell it, and if you can, confirmed it's you. I've walked a little bit and I can still smell it. So I may need to go and hunt for the poo sucking machine man that we saw earlier for the horses. We may need that for my shoe. Watch this space. Look at this glorious day. This is glorious. Right now the sun is shining, people are smiling, and you know what, it just makes so much of a difference. I'm just walking around here, everyone is happy, people are getting run over. Don't get run over, don't get run over. You've got the sound of the fountain over there, and you've then got like the sound of the guy playing the piano like over there, like in the background. You just, it's almost like we're slightly in a movie. Okay, poo update. I can confirm I did not step in any poo. I can't smell it anymore. I've looked under my shoes, I can't see any poo. We're safe. Oh, I tell you what, if you were cold, mate, walk, get a coffee, and it's gonna warm you up. In fact, you know, if I had somewhere to put this coat, I'd probably take it off. I'm a little bit toasty now. This though, spectacular, spectacular. I just feel like I'm like in the season, you know, like that season, the pumpkin spice season. Right, anyway, auto mode, pro mode, shooting settings. Let's do this. First of all, could you tell at what point I switched from auto mode to pro mode? Well, let me tell you, that point was when I walked into Starbucks and came back out. That was the point I switched over to pro. Could you tell? There's only one way to find out. If you couldn't, go back and watch that bit again and see if you can see the difference with the shots shot after. I went back in, added sweetness to my coffee and came back out. Anyway, right, auto mode or pro mode. There's no right or wrong here. It's all dependent on what you want in terms of maybe the look or when you're out shooting. If you're a regular to the channel, it will be no surprise to you that I pretty much shoot most of my videos like this on these cameras in auto mode, and I sometimes dip my toes in pro mode when I need to. But there are some settings on the Action 5 Pro that are going to remain the same whether you're in auto mode or pro mode. So let's start with them. All right, first things first, you want to be in normal video mode and then swipe up from the bottom of the screen, which will take you to your first set of shooting settings. And of course, you want to be in 4K. You want everyone to see your crystal clear quality of your beautiful face and beautiful surroundings. So why would you go anything lower than 4K? Your aspect ratio, the go-to would be 16:9, but if you're the type of person that likes to use the same horizontal YouTube clip as a vertical TikTok clip, then shooting in 4:3 will give you more flexibility when cropping that clip. If that doesn't concern you, then just leave it in 16:9, but a great feature to have that we can shoot in 4:3 now on the Action 5 Pro as well. The frame rate, individual, based on where you are, what look you like. I personally shoot most of my videos, if not all, in 25. Right, in the top right, you've got your stabilization and your field of view. Rock steady is perfectly fine for a vlogging situation. In fact, I don't think I've ever moved it above rock steady. I don't move that fast. I don't need to go into rock steady plus. I'm just waddling around looking for coffee, trying to keep warm. But rock steady plus does crop in a little bit if you do want that extra stabilization, but just play around with it and see if you like the crop or not. But like I said, for a situation like this, when you're just out like this, rock steady is fine. You don't really need to go to rock steady plus, but it depends how actiony, I guess, you're going. In terms of the field of view, it depends on the look you're going for. Do you want to be able to see Mars? Do you want to be able to see Venus? Or do you want to be able to see Jupiter? If so, if you want to be able to see Jupiter, wait, is Jupiter furthest away? I'm assuming it is. Anyway, the planet furthest away, you're going to want to switch it into ultra wide. Most of the time I have it in wide or standard. I switch between. I don't really go to ultra wide. I do find it's a little bit too fisheye, which I'm not a massive fan of the look, but like I said, it all depends on the look you're going for and what you want to see. But yeah, wide, especially when you're like this and you want to show people things over there and in the sky. Wide would be your best bet, but if you want to go ultra, go ultra. Right, moving over to our next set of shooting settings from the preview screen. On the right side in the middle, you've got this little toggle, these two lines. If you press on that, it takes you and gives you two options. Remember, we're in auto mode at the moment. The first option is stabilization. Now, I know what you're thinking, James, we already set our stabilization. Rock steady was the stabilization. Yeah, they've given a new stabilization scenario, daily or sport. I'll be totally honest with you, I've done a few tests, not that I'm really a sporty sporter, so I'm probably not the best person to be like, oh, I can't see any difference, but I hate to say it, I can't see too much difference. I can't see any difference. I've done some tests, I've run around my bedroom. No, I just can't see any difference, so I just keep it on daily. They do have a description, so it says suitable for scenario. Daily is suitable for scenarios without too many movements, such as walking or vlogging, and we're talking about vlogging, so keep it on daily. If you do get if you get like a bit more movement, actiony, then maybe switch it to sport, but don't stress over it. I personally don't think I'm ever going to switch it. It's going to stay in daily. And then under that, you've got image adjustments, so that will be your sharpness, or what they're now calling texture, and noise reduction. I set both of them to -2, so essentially off. Don't need any processing going on in the background. And that is pretty much auto mode set up, ready to go. All you've got to do is get out, press record and shoot. Now over to pro. So one of the biggest advantages and reasons you might want to shoot in pro mode is the color profile. You've got 10-bit normal color, 10-bit HLG, 10-bit D-Log-M if you wanted to do some color grading and all that great stuff. So again, it depends on the look you're going for and what you want to do after. If you want to do any of that, oh, there's a bug there. If you want to do any of that, then yeah, you're going to need to be in pro. But what do you set everything else to? Well, if you're in a situation like this, everything needs to be set to auto if you don't have any ND filters. If you try to adjust the manual settings, then it's just going to be too white and bright without any ND filters. So if you go into exposure, just press auto and yeah, everything will automatically adjust. But one thing I would say is with the EV, definitely adjust it to -0.3 or -0.7 depending on how bright the day is. And the ISO I have set to 100 to 6400. Like, it's not going to go up like in a situation like this, but there's another bug, but I have found above 6400 does start to get a bit noisy when it gets dark. Obviously it's not dark now, it's ridiculous. Look at this. Hold on one sec, be right back. Right, it's gone, I think. Yeah, so just to conclude with the exposure, the EV set it to -0.3 or -0.7 depending on how bright it is. The ISO 100 to 6400. Obviously you need to press auto at the bottom of that instead of it being on M, which is manual. Press confirm, and then we go over to white balance. Again, this is going to depend. Do you want it to do everything for you, or do you want to set the white balance yourself? If you want to do some like color stuff later in post, you're probably going to be your best bet is probably going to be to adjust the white balance manually, because if you don't, then yeah, it's going to be changing, and then when you try to do stuff later it might be a bit more difficult. The only disadvantage with the white balance like that is every time you move into a different situation where essentially the white balance needs changing, you're going to need to change it. If you don't, then yeah, it's going to look either too warm or too cool. So you can have it in manual and do it yourself, or you can just put it in auto and let it do its thing. If you do want to set it manually but you don't know what to set it at, just press the M, hold it up to wherever it is you're shooting, wait for the little number on the right to change, and when it stops moving, just press confirm, and that is what the white balance should be. And then the color profile, like I said, you've got your normal 10-bit, you've got your HLG 10-bit, you've got your D-Log-M 10-bit. All depends on the look you're going for, whether you want to do all your color grading stuff later. One thing I would say as a little tip is if you're shooting in D-Log-M, you've got color recovery, which you can slide to have on, which essentially changes the preview screen and gives you, yeah, a bit more of a look of how it will look if you turn it on. At the top, you can see you've got a little microphone option, which takes you to your audio settings. So you can switch between mono or stereo. I usually just keep it in stereo, to be honest. You've then got wind noise reduction, where you can have it at standard, high or off. I've tested it at standard and high and off, all three of them. And actually, usually I don't like wind reduction modes because it does make you sound like you're underwater, but the high one doesn't make you sound like you're underwater. It actually does a pretty good job. But in a situation like this where it's not that windy, standard is what I keep it on. But again, play around with it, do some tests and see if you want standard, high or off. And just remember that there is a minimum focus distance on the Action 5 Pro of 35 centimeters. So you don't want to obviously get the camera too close to you or whatever it is you're filming, because then it will be a little bit blurry. I made that mistake when I was shooting with it first and showing my watch in the shot. I put the camera too close and you couldn't see it, it was all blurry. So remember that there is a minimum focus distance of 33 centimeters, but that's pretty much fine for having half an arm's length or full arm's length. I've never noticed any blurriness in any of the shots I've done when I've been doing a vlog style video with it. And something else to keep an eye on or an ear on is the audio. When you're holding the camera like this, speaking behind it, as in showing people what's going on, the audio is not as clear as when the camera is facing you. So yeah, you don't want to be speaking too far away from it, like holding it out too far and speaking too far. Do some tests, you'll see what I mean. Just speaking behind the camera is not as clear as in front. And of course you've got the new super night mode, which you might want to whack the Action 5 Pro in at night, or if it's really dark when you're vlogging. But one thing again I would say is do some tests and see if you like the look, because I personally don't. I think it makes my face especially look too cartoony. But yeah, do some tests. But if you do shoot in super night mode, you do have some restrictions. So the max frame rate is 30. You can't shoot in 4:3 if that's what you wanted to do. You can only shoot in 16:9. The max field of view is wide, so if you wanted to get ultra and show people, is it Venus? Yeah, Venus, then you can't adjust the image adjustment, so the sharpness or noise reduction, and you can't select a color profile, so no D-Log-M. And that is pretty much that. Like I said earlier, I'll say it again, there's no right or wrong to this. Shoot in auto mode, shoot in pro mode, shoot in ultra wide, shoot in wide, shoot with an external mic, shoot with the onboard mics. Mate, do what you want. I've just gone through my go-to settings, and like I said, I pretty much shoot everything in auto mode. I don't want to worry about the numbers, just want to get out here, shoot and vlog, and these cameras do a great job in auto mode. But go out there, do your tests, most of all have fun, and then press record seriously.